Hi guys, in this video, let's do a geometry problem. So, we have to find the value of x for this problem. So if you look here, the side length of this is 9 and the side length of from here to here is not 1 and the side length from here to here is 8. We have to find side length of this. Okay. And this is a right angle. Let's name the sides. Let's name this side A, let's name this one's B, and let's name this one's C. Let's name this one from here to here as D. So now, if this is a right angle, still means this is all of these four triangles are right angle triangles. Okay, so now the Pythagorean theorem for this right angle triangle is c squared plus a squared equals 1 square. It would be 1 square, but if we do 1 square, it would equal 1. So let's take the Pythagorean theorem for this triangle now. So it would be d squared plus a squared, which would equal, so now 8, right? Which would equal 8 squared. So if we do 8 squared, it would be 64. Okay, so now let's take the Pythagorean theorem for this right angle triangle. So the b squared plus c squared, which equals 81, because it would equal 9 squared. 9 squared is 81. Okay. So lastly, we would have b squared plus d squared, which would equal x squared. So now for this, we have to find x, right? Let's look at an equation with x. So this equation has x. So b squared plus d squared equals x squared. So let's look at an equation with b squared or d squared. Well, we have three equations here. Let's choose one. So let's choose this equation. It has d squared plus a squared, which equals 64. So now here, both of these equations don't have d squared, but this equation has a squared, just like this equation. So let's subtract these equations. So let's do d squared plus a squared equals 64, and c squared plus a squared equals 1. So now here, let's cancel a squared, we have to subtract. So 64 minus 1 is 63. And a squared minus a squared would be 0. Would be nothing, so let's not write it. And d squared minus c squared would be d squared minus c squared. So d squared minus c squared equals 63. So now let's look at any equation with c squared. So now this equation, we use both these equations. Let's look at this equation. So this equation has c squared. So let's write both these equations. So b squared plus c squared, which equals 81, and d squared minus c squared equals 63. So what should we do to cancel the c squares? So we can add. So here's how. A plus c squared and minus c squared, it would equal 0. So we need to write b squared plus d squared, which would equal, we have to do 81 plus 63, which is 144. So it equals 144. So look, we have 144 equals b squared plus d squared, and we have x squared equals d squared plus b squared. Let's put this equation over here. B squared plus d squared equals 144. So that means x squared equals 144. So for this equation, let's do square root for both of the sides, because if we square root this side, we would get x. So if we square root x squared, it would be x equals square root of 144. So if we do square root of 144, that would be 12. So x equals 12. So that means x is 12. So the answer is x equals 12. Let's do math every day, and like this video.